Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Mayer, and in this video we will be discussing lines and graphs. By the end of it, you want to be able to say, I can create the equation of a line in slope-intercept form using 2 points on the line. So we're just going to look at one example. We need to use the slope-intercept form to write the equation of the line that contains these 2 points Q and R. So let's get started. We need to look, it says specifically what are the important words here. We need to make sure that we're using slope-intercept form. Okay, that's what we've focused on so far, and hopefully it is pretty comfortable with it by now. So for slope-intercept form, remember, it is y equals mx plus b. The whole point of slope-intercept form is because it gives you your m, which is your slope, and your b, which is your y-intercept values. Okay, so this is very helpful format, especially when you are asked to graph afterward. Okay, so to go ahead and get started with this, what we want to find first in slope-intercept form, you always want to find your slope first. Okay, after you've found your slope, then you can go ahead and find your y-intercept. So in order to find your slope, you have your handy dandy formula. You want to make sure you're using your slope formula here. Okay, again, remember it is the change in y values divided by the change in x values, and in order to do that, we label our x's, label our y's. To find the change in something, we subtract. So first things first, we want to go ahead and label these things. Always label who is x, who is y. And just like the alphabet, they put x first and then the y. They did that just to help us out. Same thing with the second point, okay? So from here, what we're going to do is, since this is the first point, these are both going to be x1 and y1. You just put 1s next to them since that point came first, this point came second, so you put 2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to substitute in the values that we have here. So it says y2. Again, this is your slope. This is your m value. y2 is 8. Take away. y1 is 5 divided by x2 is negative 10. Take away. x1 is negative 4. I do this on purpose. Did I write that correctly? It says negative. I have a minus sign, but remember, this formula has a minus sign as well, so you're taking away a negative 4. I always recommend put that parentheses in there so you don't forget that there's 2 symbols used. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and work it out. Remember, taking away a negative becomes a positive for both, not just for one, but for both. So I'm going to work it out at this point. It says 8 minus 5, so just go ahead and do the numerator. It's 3. Negative 10 plus 4. This is going to go opposite directions on the number line, so this is going to be a negative 10, and then I'm going to increase my amount. So they're actually subtracting each other. 10 minus 4 is 6, and there's more negatives here, so it's a negative 6. Don't forget, your job here is always to simplify your fraction. Hopefully you see both of these are divisible by 3. So I'm dividing them both by 3. 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and don't forget, a negative divided by a positive is still negative. So I put my negative in the front of the entire fraction. If you want to put it by the 1, that's fine. If you want to put it by the 2, it's okay. We don't usually put it with the denominator, but just make sure you understand this fraction, the whole fraction, all together is negative. So this is my m, this is my slope. So at this point, what I'm going to do is just go ahead, plug it in. Always write your formula first. Do not forget that. There's so many ways to help yourself with these questions. Writing the formula will help kind of clear it up for you, what step is going to go where. So I've done step 1. Now I'm ready for step 2. Step 2 says find the y-intercept. In order to do that, all you need to do is decide which point do you want to use for the y value and for the x value. You cannot mix and match. You cannot mix and match. It's one or the other, not a combination. So I always say use the easier numbers. It really doesn't look like one's easier than the other this time, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this point for my x and y. Okay, those 2's don't matter. That was just because there was 2 x's and 2 y's before. So at this point, what I'm going to do is plug this baby in, and we are going to see y is going to be 8. Bring down the equal sign. Again, write the equation. I'm just bringing things down. X was negative 10. So I put in negative 10. And what I'm trying to solve for right now is my b, so I have to just keep this as the variable. You're trying to solve for your b variable. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and work these things out. Whole number, or an integer, times a fraction. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and make this a fraction itself. We can always divide by 1. When I'm multiplying fractions, again, parentheses means to multiply. I multiply fractions side by side. So I'm going side to side. I see this is negative, I see this is negative. Negative times negative, 1 times 10 is a positive 10 over 2 times 1 is 2. I already canceled those negatives, so it's 10 over 2. I'm bringing everything else down. And now I'm going to finish working this one out. 10 divided by 2 is 5, plus b equals 8. Again, you're using PEMDAS. I'm trying to get the b, or get the b alone, isolate the variable. So last step is, since these are combined through addition, I need to move this through subtraction. It's a positive 5. I need to subtract it to the other side, which means that my y-intercept is 3. Last but not least, so we did steps 1 and 2. Now I need to write this nice and neat, nice and neat, nice and neat. The whole point was to write the equation, not just random pieces all busy on your paper. So we need to put this all together. Again, organize your thoughts. I'm trying to fill in this equation. In this equation, for the final answer, not before, but for the final answer, y is always a y, x is always an x, and your slope here is -1/2. Okay? We see that our b was a positive 3, our intercept was a positive 3, and there is your equation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope to see you soon.